Good morning and welcome to the Tap Intuit Podcast, where each week I have the sincere pleasure of interviewing a wellness professional operating in their area of genius. And that is an understatement for Shayn Smith, who is joining me here today from Broomfield. Shayn, thank you for making that commute down to Colorado Springs this morning.
Yes, thank you for inviting me down. I'm so pleased to be here again.
Me too. Thank you for coming back. You've been pillar of the foundation that we're building at CCC, and I'm so grateful for your stewardship.
Well,
And
and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
thank you. And today, for folks who don't know, Shayn has a background that is rich. He is an educator, a PhD in educational psychology, a musician, an astrologer, a father, a husband, all of the hats. And today we're here to talk about his career in astrology and what he offers to our community and energy healing if
Oh,
the route
yes.
takes us there.
Oh, boy.
And speaking of route, how about we start with your commute, because you said
Oh,
from an astrological lens that might be something to mention.
well, thank you. Yes, it's about an hour and a half from Broomfield down to Colorado Springs. And I don't typically do this as a matter of course, but I thought, well, maybe for this little episode, I might experiment and have a little fun with astrology. And there is a kind of astrology called elective astrology, where you elect a time and a date to do something, whether it be start a business, get married, take a trip. I said, okay, well, here's my time frame. I wonder how I can make this work so it goes smoothly. There's traffic that obviously I run into in Denver. Okay, let's see. Take a look at the chart. And you want to leave at an auspicious time and hopefully arrive at an auspicious time. And so my calculation showed that if I left at 7:05, that would get me here a little early, but that's okay. I can deal with that. 7:05 is when the sun was aligned with some of the meridians in the chart. And meridians are very powerful points. Astrologers use those quite a bit. I said, okay, 7:05. And you kind of advance it through the trip. And you go, oh, wow, there's a Neptune-Saturn conjunction that we're going to be running into in the middle of Denver somewhere. And then boom, 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 everything's smooth after that. And then when you arrive, the angles will be conjunct Moon and Jupiter. Wow, how auspicious is that? So that would have been about 8:40, 8:45 or so. So I said, okay, let's keep an eye on the clock as we're driving here. Let's see what happens at 7:40 or 7:45, between 7:40 and 7:50. And that's when I got into the heart of Denver, you know. It's like, yeah, it slowed down a little bit, but that's okay. Everything was moving along pretty well. And I realized that at that moment, when the angles were coming up to Neptune and Saturn, I had a Neptunian experience and I had a Saturnian experience. And it wasn't anything that was outside of me. In other words, I was expecting maybe there'd be some confusion. Neptune can be confusion. And Saturn can be like a real huge slowdown, a real block up. And so I was expecting, okay, there'll be an accident or something like that. There was no accident. It was only in my own head. Because at that moment in time, I was passing by Colorado Boulevard, okay, and then going down to Hampton. And my younger daughter lives off of Hampton. And I thought, I think I've got time. Maybe I could stop and get some coffee in Colorado. There's a place I usually go when I visit her. Get coffee, and then I go down to Hampton and visit her. So maybe I have time to visit her. She's working from home today. And so that was my imagination. That was the Neptunian thing. And the Saturn said, no, keep going. Saturn said, yeah, we're going to cut this short. And so I just kind of flew on by. And I kind of waved to her in my mind, and here I am. Now, that's not a very interesting story in the sense that, there was nothing dramatic about it, but I think it speaks to the subtlety and how astrology works.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how maybe more internal it is versus how external sometimes we make it out to be. It's like, wow, Saturn, brace yourself. And it's not always that way. So I'm here to say that I lived through the trip and here.
I'm so grateful that you're here and that it was a smooth trip. And I also appreciate that your mind went to bringing more love into your day if you could. And
Yes.
also that you gleaned that awareness that it probably will slow me down and I'll want to stay longer. So I hope you get to stop back on your way home.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a good point. Yeah. I do the chart for going back, though.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
But that's all right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I don't do charts for every little thing. I don't even know what my day is going to be like because I don't look at my chart all the time.
Sure.
And it's not like a wish fulfillment or I'm expecting this I like to live vicariously, spontaneously in the moment. I've got a very strong Uranus and that allows me to do that and get away with it.
Yep. You taught us that. Yes. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think it's really, really good to hear that you don't do a chart for everything. I remember during a course that we took with you over the summer when you were describing if I wanted to apply my efforts into becoming a wealthy man, sure, I could do that, but would that be a life worth pursuing?
Yes.
And I think that that is so valid and also a testament to, well, I think it's important that it's folks like you who are doing this work. And I hear this often, Alex Doran, who was here talking through tarot reading, she doesn't consult the cards either because it doesn't work that way for her.
Right.
She is a servant, if you will, for the community and uses her gifts that way. And it's the same for you.
Absolutely. And I think when you look at cards and how they're laid out and what the message might be, if you look at a chart and look at all the planetary configurations, it's just a tool to channel your intuition. Do you need that tool? Sometimes. But if you can just tap into the intuition just like that, that's even better. Before we started, I was saying I like to start my day very spontaneously. It's like, okay, intuition, guide me. Where do I need to go? What do I need to think about? What's happening in the moment that makes me a better person, makes me more of a servant to others, and boom, and then I just follow that.
I love that. It seems that you've had a strong intuition for the course of your path. Would you agree?
Yes, and sometimes I didn't realize it.
Fair. And that's what I'm pointing towards
Yeah.
because recently we all flex this muscle of intuition, right? And I even speak to it with folks locally, but the astrology lately has been a real test.
Humdinger.
Yes, a real test to, are you listening? Are you listening? Hello? Are you listening?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. You just follow what you follow. And sometimes it takes you down a road and you go, what am I doing here? This doesn't seem to be where I think I should be. But there's always a lesson in that, isn't there?
There is. And I appreciate that you can bring wisdom into how to navigate the energy of the astrology, if you will, loosely. And I love all the autonomy that you give when you're offering the forecast of what's to come and how best to navigate those days because it's not going to all be rainbows and butterflies for us.
No, absolutely. And I try to be careful of not putting the negative spin on it, although I could easily do that. I like to think that we can use the stars and the planets to align to the positive. And of course, if something comes wayward to that, contrary, sideways, whatever you want to call it, and it is a challenge, and it's not what we're thinking, it's okay because we can then immediately align to what is in our best and highest good and move on from there. sometimes Vedic astrology can be very fatalistic.
I've seen the memes
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
the Western astrologer. Today you're going to glow like
Yeah.
a Leo, fun, and then the
Yeah.
Vedic astrologer. Today your house will catch on fire,
Right, you
and
fall off a cliff and
yes, exactly. Yes.
yeah. And there was a way I was trying to put a more positive spin on it. And so I'm experimenting. I'm still experimenting. I'm 74. I just celebrated a birthday a couple weeks ago. And
Happy birthday!
thank you. Thank you. And it's still, there's so much out there. There's so many different brands of astrology, just as there's so many different brands of healing. And there's so many different brands of music. I mean, there's just a variety of good stuff out there.
Yeah.
And I like to travel down the path that is calling to me at the moment. So we'll see where I end up with all of this after a while. I might change course in midstream, and all of a sudden I'm going to be talking about cosmobiology or symmetrical astrology or Uranian astrology or something. It's like, what? What's he talking about now?
That's my favorite thing about you, because it's like you have the best library of skills and knowledge that you've built for yourself, this arcane wisdom, sincerely, that you've sought out and you've gleaned for yourself. That is no small feat.
Well, thank you. It's fun for me. I mean, I'm just a student of life, and I've
Sure.
often said that if I didn't have a job, which I did, and I loved my job, it was a good job. It had challenges, of course, but I said, you know, if I didn't have this, I'd be a student of life. I'd be learning all the time.
Yes.
But then I forgot at that time that, you know, part of the mission in life is to serve as well. And so it's like, well, I'm learning this, but can I apply it to others? And so it took a while before I got to the point where I was comfortable in charging for services.
Oh, wow.
Before it was like, oh, you do astrology, great. Can I have my chart done? Yeah, take me out to lunch and I'll be happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
And trades and things like that. And I still do trades. But yeah, it's a step when you decide that you're going to be professional in the field and you're going to request monetary recompense for what you do. And the same for healing too, because I also do that. And it was like, but aren't you supposed to give it away? And that's a very common question that healers ask, right? You
Yes.
know, it's like, well, we got to make a living too, don't we?
That's correct. We used to be supported, healers and wellness professionals in these villages that existed where they all were supported and nurtured, and we just do not live there anymore. And it's an unfortunate tale, and one that I share, and so many others, as I know you know,
Yes.
where at first, as you're stepping into that power and shaking off imposter syndrome, you give away so much of your own energy. Not that
Yes.
I think that energy healing is you giving of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
but there is that reciprocity that's necessary in
Absolutely.
order for you to feel fueled in order to do this work.
Absolutely. You said it beautifully. And that's the flow of the energy, isn't it? You get to see how that circulates.
Yes.
That's so beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. And I myself have struggled with the same thing, especially when folks approach me and I know that they're in X, Y, or Z position. And I try my best to make it approachable medicine, which is what I think these gifts are. Really,
Yes.
it's an approachable medicine that no one outside of yourself, you don't need a referral. You can go and approach, and speaking with you and having a session with you has been medicine for me. So
Oh,
thank
well,
you.
thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
And you have a gifted way of guiding through all of the ups and downs. I wouldn't say that you bypass the negativity. You just say, oh, here looks like might be a spicy time. Right?
Yeah. Do you want it mild or do you want it hot? Anything in between?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but there's no defeatist mentality that comes with your readings of the chart, and I love the mathematics that you go to. I was just listening today to a lecture on quantum physics and mathematics and how
Oh, really?
music and frequency and
Oh.
everything is mathematics.
Yes, it is. It's all numbers, isn't it? We were just talking about numbers before we began.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. This is a 2026 is a 1 year, so we're off to the races. Compounded with the fact that it's the fire horse year. It's like,
Ooh.
wow, we're really off to the races this year, aren't we? So a lot of things will be uncovered as we progress through the racetrack, if you will. And it may come too quickly for some of us,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
me. I like to kind of sit, and if you've seen my episodes, you know that I'm a 7 vibe kind of person. That's not actually my predominant vibe, but seven, 7 vibe is like very quiet, peaceful, meditative. It gets into the inner knowledge. And for sevens, it's going to be a rough year
Hmm.
because one just wants to go, go, go.
Yeah.
Sevens want to stop, stop, stop.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what are you?
I believe that I'm an 11,
Uh,
22.
Oh, in astrology, that's right. We did
Yeah,
your frequencies, didn't we?
we did. And that was
11,
vibrational
that was
astrology,
vibrational
right?
astrology. And 11s just are progressive. They want to move. They want to get off the dime. They can't sit for very long. So sometimes meditation
Guilty.
is a little bit difficult, but that's what they need to center.
That's right.
And 11s just take off and they're pursuing what they need to pursue and getting done what they need to get done. Yeah,
Dang it.
11s are that way. We do in the episodes, I think we do talk about 11s, but it doesn't come up as often. You know, mostly we see 7s. This week we have some 7s popping up in here and there. And I forgot. I don't even look at my own forecast to see, all right, it's Friday. What did he say about Friday? I
Yeah.
have no idea what today was all about. You know, I just live it.
I think that I have avoided acknowledging anything today. And my friend, 13 is like her number. It's her jam. But
Uh-huh, yeah.
today it is Friday the 13th. So not only did you take a chance
Wow.
on driving down astrologically during that, and I thought about that. I
Yes.
was like, interesting.
Yes.
You must know something I don't.
Yes. Friday the 13th. And you know that it's only been a recent kind of phenomenon. I
Really?
think that came about maybe in the 1800s, mostly in Europe. And it was a kind of a backward glance, I think. 13 was deemed, well, Friday, let's start with Friday. Friday was deemed not very lucky
Okay.
because one account is that that's when Jesus was crucified,
Mm-hmm.
okay, on
Yes.
Friday. And so it's like, oh, terrible day, avoid Friday. However, my view of it's different. If you look at the days of the week that are ruled by planets, Friday is ruled by Venus.
Mm-hmm.
Venus is love and beauty and harmony and peace and all that good stuff. So there's nothing wrong with Friday. And then 13, I think, came along from the same kind of concept that there were 13 individuals at the Last Supper.
Ah,
And it's like, oh, the Last Supper. Wow, that's
wow.
unlucky, you know. Like, what happened after that?
Mm.
So, and I think there were other kinds of things that kind of got folded in along the way that kind of gave rise to the Friday the 13th myth. But I've always had very fortunate Friday the 13th, actually.
That's
So,
wonderful. Me too.
yeah.
I even had a kiddo that had an ear surgery on Friday the 13th.
And it
So
turned out
it'll be
okay.
fine. Let's talk about your energy healing, Shane, because I have gotten with you so many times and then I stay on the same pathway of talking astrology. But let's talk about where you started with that.
Wow.
I'm going back to the episode where your first episode here, where you talked about touching the hot iron.
Do, should I retell that
Sure.
story?
Yeah,
Yes.
recap that for folks.
Okay, I'm going to tie astrology into this because
Please.
it is actually kind of part and parcel of what was going on at the time.
Okay.
I started college at the State University of New York at Buffalo in 1970. And I had a group of friends who were traveling down the metaphysical road, if you will. And they wanted me to join. And I go, what? You know, now prior to that, I had graduated. My last 2 years of high school was at a Catholic all-boys school.
Wow. Yeah.
So, not that I bought into everything there, hook, line, and sinker, but, you know, before that, I was confirmed a Methodist. And so I had more of a traditional religious upbringing, but it didn't really have an imprint on how I thought, who I was. And so they said, well, we're studying people like Annie Besant and Charles Ledbetter and Madame Blavatsky. You know, are you interested in all this stuff? said, I don't know. And so we hired a lady from Lilydale. And I don't know if you are familiar, but that is a community down south of Buffalo, New York, that is known for their mediums and psychics. And it's a very spiritual community. And we hired a lady to come up, and she was a minister down there, to give us classes. And so we had classes every, I don't know, several weeks or so, and we'd chip in and pay for her services and so forth. But she would channel an entity named Dr. Andre. And Dr. Andre would give us these wonderful messages. And the course was called Something of Consciousness. And it's like, this stuff feels good. Part of that was to do healings. And so with my group of friends, I would help with sinus issues. I could use that for myself right now. And other kinds of issues and things like that. Okay, so that's where it started. At that time, the planet Pluto was transiting around my ascendant. Now, the ascendant is a part of the chart that expresses who you are and how you view the world and how the world views you and so forth. It's your environment. It's how the environment is affecting you. And Pluto was coming around and it was doing some funny things there. It was changing my perception of the world. Pluto is transformative. Pluto is deep. Pluto gets to the subconscious. And so that was going on at that time. And so I had all this Plutonian energy, and I had this wonderful teaching of theosophy, and then later the mystery schools of Astara. And it was like, okay, now I've got this great gift that everybody has.
Yes.
It says in the Bible, these things I do, you can do as well, even better. It's like, okay, I'll give it a try. And so I started healing back in those days. Now, the one thing that really brought it home to me about how powerful this stuff is when I was, I don't know if people iron pants anymore, but I was ironing pants in my living room in Buffalo, and the hot iron fell off the ironing board for some reason, and my instinct was to catch it. I've got very good reflexes. Too good. I don't know if you've ever caught a hot iron in your hand before. I'm going, this is crazy. You know, put it down back on the ironing board. And I go, well, I've got to heal this because it's going to turn into a welt of some sort of blister, ugly thing I don't care to think about. And so I immediately put the other hand over it, directed healing white light into it. White light is a great, great healer, isn't it?
I think so.
And moments later, I looked at my hand. I didn't see any red welts, any unusual formations, or it felt great. It's like, there's something to this. And so from that point on, I thought, well, I'm going to nourish this gift. I really didn't do much with it until maybe 2011. I remember years pretty well for some reason. In 2011, I decided I was going to delve into the healing realms very, very deeply. And I even traveled across the sea to England and took some classes there with a lady in energy healing. And then came across pranic healing. And pranic healing is very similar to Reiki, the work that you do. I think we have the same lineage, as a matter of fact. And so I've been doing that ever since. And, to backtrack real quickly back to 1970, I was actually writing papers in college at the university on the healings of Jesus. Like, wow. I mean, you could do that back then, and it was okay. I was really, really interested in healing way back then, and still am.
I agree. Jesus is what brought me into the curiosities too, and just that palpable, folks refer to it as Christ consciousness.
Absolutely.
Right? And it is a frequency, I think. And I always have had a testimony of Christ,
Hmm.
but not in the way it was introduced to me.
Right.
And so I do think it's so important to foster that relationship yourself. And also, my gosh, I agree with what you say that it's like, be like me,
Hmm.
follow me,
Hmm.
and that folks that he sat with,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the populations that he served. And
Yes.
that's my folks too, like
Yes.
you, who go out and want to help others and even have a feeling about the reciprocity. And I'm grateful though that folks are stepping into recognizing the need for the reciprocity in whatever way that looks like,
Yes.
and that we're being emboldened to stand in the authority of I'm here to help. I'm
Yeah.
here now, and taking better care of ourselves is part of that, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And trusting in that process too. I try to break down step by step what his healing was all about. What did it require? And I think one of the big things that required belief. Okay, you can call it faith, but sometimes we tag along a lot of stuff to the word faith. But there was a belief, there was an openness that, yes, this can work. And so that's the first thing, to be open and believe that it can work. So leave out doubt.
Right.
And then the second thing is, I think there was an intensity of focusedness, a one-centeredness in what was doing. You know, what is it? What would you like to be healed from? You know, name it. And so you start with that. You go right down that avenue. And then there was authority. And sometimes I forget to do this when I'm healing. You know, it's like, wait a minute. Let's do this with a little bit more authority. Be gone. You know? And wow. When you have that kind of energy behind the healing that you do, I tell you,
I agree.
come back.
Yeah, it doesn't come back. You're right. And I was fortunate with my teacher, Susan Kioki out of Boulder, and she talked about it like, I don't need to identify what it is. I don't need to engage with it. I'm just here with the warrant. I'm just serving the notice.
I like
And
that.
it's a demand. It's not a
Yeah.
request.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Yes.
Right. And then
Yes.
dare say we need the most important ingredient of all, and that's compassion.
Agreed.
You know?
Yes.
And he certainly had an abundance of that. I don't think it's really too magical.
Right.
It's just being attentive and being focused and being authoritative and being compassionate and being open.
Agreed.
And away you go.
Away you go. My gosh, it's just that simple.
I
I
know.
think the toughest part for so many is to get to that quiet stillness, that ability to drop in
Yeah.
on a dime, which, just like anyone who goes to the gym, I feel like you can be in shape with that sometimes, and
Right.
then you fall out of that.
Right. Absolutely.
But coming back to self every time.
Coming back to self, because we all have that universal power within us, don't we? And that spark just allows us to do powerful things. And if we acknowledge our own power without being too egotistical about it, then we can accomplish so many things.
I agree. And one thing that I'm really noticing in the communities that are doing this type of work is that there are so many folks operating in integrity that really, for whatever reason, that Spirit put them on the path to be the wounded healer, pretty typical journey. It's just, it warms my heart because there's well-meaning out
Yeah.
there. If we really stop and acknowledge it, there's a lot of folks trying to help people achieve the relief that we're not finding in different systems. Not to get political, but
Right.
as a society, we're tired of feeling disempowered.
Absolutely. And we're in the Aquarian age now. We're on the eve of the Aquarian age. Not quite yet into the Aquarian age, but just enough so that we can feel what that's like to step into our power collectively. That's what Aquarius is. Aquarius is our independent collective humanity coming together and doing good for people. And boy, I'll tell you, we've got some wonderful things coming up, getting back to astrology. When Uranus next month goes into Gemini, and we have the Awakener is Uranus, and Gemini is the planet of all sorts of mental and mind kind of explorations and curiosities. We're going to be developing our systems of thinking, I think, when that happens for the next 7 years after that. And so be prepared. And so the Awakener is going to say, yeah, we're going to think about things rather than just follow along. We're going to think about things, and then we're going to do what we feel our path is. So, yeah.
That is empowering.
Because Pluto will still be in Aquarius, anchoring down the Aquarian part of it. And then Saturn and Neptune will be doing their things, obviously. In Aries, which Neptune and Saturn in Aries wants us to kind of get out there like that racehorse we were talking about. And, kind of explore a little bit more our boundaries, which is Saturn. Let's go beyond the boundaries. Let's break down the boundaries. And then Neptune, let's let our imagination soar.
I like that. Yeah. I saw in Ireland, I believe, that they brought about in their village this opportunity for artists to be compensated by the government in order to be creative. Have you
I
seen
saw that, yeah.
Would you say that's because we're on that cusp of going into the Aquarian age?
I think that is a wonderful example of that.
It's exciting to think that folks are recognizing we need art and creativity. In my hope, and I may have even shared this with you in the past, more music, please. Different kind of organic, authentic music, please.
Yes, please.
And I think that is so important, too, to keep the baseline.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I like to say that we have front row seats to one of the most glorious moments in our world's history. Front row seats. And I was saying that way back, even when people were talking about, was it 2012 when we were, the Mayan calendar thing, and we were ending that. And so, no, don't worry about it. The world's not going to end. It's just that we are beginning a new process. And this new process is allowing us to find our divinity and express it and move forward with it. And it's beautiful. I mean, yeah, it's bumpy.
Sure.
No doubt about it. I'm not that Pollyannish to think that everything's pie in the sky, but definitely it's a bumpy ride. But definitely, I think if you look at what is outweighing the better of the whole thing, I think our ideals, our heart is definitely going out there and making the difference in how we approach this new world.
Agreed. And so for folks who don't have an idea of what it's like to have a chart reading, maybe folks have never even looked up their sun sign in Western, could we just give some insight into what a session like with you, an astrology reading session to be specific, looks like from beginning to end and how you prepare?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I've got to get particulars from you. And the particulars are birth date, time, and place, because that helps us to put the coordinates on a sheet of paper and look at it in 3D. And then from 3D, we expand out into 4D, 5D, whatever D. And I like to get an idea, too, is what the person is focusing on. What is it that they need from the reading? Because there are so many different angles you can go to with consultation. So I'll do up the chart, I'll take a look at it, and I might look at it from many different perspectives. We were talking earlier about all the different varieties of astrology out there. And it's like, okay, here's Ravyn's chart. Let's see. How about from a Jyotish perspective, which is Vedic astrology? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. How about from a vibrational astrology perspective? Oh, that's interesting. Season 11. And then how about from some other perspective, cosmobiology? Or how about, and so I do the how abouts. And then I get this kind of picture of a person so that when they come in, I have a kind of perspective, but I don't know everything about that person from the chart. I don't know, for example, even looking down the road, I can see maybe the bumps. I can see the opportunities, but I can't see the free will that that person's going to express. And so that's where we get into a conversation. I like to look at the astrology reading more as a conversation rather than me just spouting off stuff. It's like, and then your Venus is here. You know, that gets kind of boring for me because I don't like to listen to myself that much.
I think you do a great job of bringing in the person too into the experience. Yeah. And I would love to hear you talk, so I think you're an excellent teacher.
Oh, thank you.
But it did not feel like a consultation to where it's a one-way monologue that I'm trying to take in a bunch of information that I'm not understanding.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that you thoughtfully walk through very complex system in such a easy to digest way in a short amount of time so that the person understands what you're conveying in a way that they can actually intellectualize and then go and use.
Yes, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. The idea is I like to teach a little bit as I go along because I don't want to just be like the car mechanic that, oh, car's fixed now. Well, what was it? Was it the catalytic converter? Was it that? And I like to explain it in a way that helps you to put it in context. I know that there's some astrologers that don't like to do that because it's too technical or whatever, but I don't put that beyond my clients at all. I believe they have the capacity and the curiosity to know what's going on. Why is that such a difficult thing to go through? Well, okay, here it is. But you see, there's always an end to it. There's always an outlet. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak.
And you're very encouraging. I have sent many of my friends and closest trusted loved ones to Shayn. And I have a friend, I won't mention her name for privacy's sake, but she was just giggling and saying, by the end of it, I kind of felt bad for him because he was like, there's just so many notes. And it's because you listen, you hold space, and you make sure the person is heard, understood, and that you're getting what you need in order to help them better. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for that. Well, it's interesting that you say that because vibrational astrology would say that I'm a number 17. And 17s are noted for empathy. And a lot of times they get into fields like counseling, which is my bread and butter. So it's interesting because I've got a client coming up. And I forgot now what she said. She said something, and I said, boy, she sounds like a 17. So I did her vibrational astrology, and there it was, number one, right on the top of the list. She's a 17. Wow, look at that empathy. Loves to live in the stories of others, loves to support, be there. So it's like, oh, wow, I can't wait to share this with her.
Aw, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And I love that you see people and that you genuinely want to get to know their story so that you can help them path out what's coming ahead. And not just myself, but others have seen some bumpy charts. And you have a nice, delicate way of offering insight into a certain period of time. What is standard? I think that I have approached you and said, all right, let's go for a full year and just do some wave tops. And then we've gotten together, and I'm like, can we just look at 3 months? Because I really wish I could plan that far.
You need it. Yeah, right. And that's it. Maybe all you need is just what resources can I pull together to get through the next few months. And then I'll worry about what's beyond that after that. But that's kind of like living in the moment, isn't it?
Agreed.
Because sometimes you can look so far ahead that you get overwhelmed. And you're thinking of November, and here it is March, and you're going, oh. And then you can't enjoy March because you're thinking of what might be lying ahead there. I remember I had my dream job in radio broadcasting in Buffalo. And it was actually there I was doing some radio shows with astrologers, and I was too a guest on some shows, on radio shows at that time. But I remember here I was in my dream job. I had been promoted to morning drive time. This was the Buffalo was like the 24th, 28th largest market at the time in the United States, so it was a big market. And here I was, lots of people listening and everything. And I woke up one morning and I started going through the day ahead in my mind. And I'm going, oh, I've got to go to work. And I had the morning show, so I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning, 6 days out of the week. And oh, geez. So I got to do this, I got to do that. Then after that, I had a part-time job I had to go to, and then I had to come back to my regular job. Oh, let's see, I'm going to be home till about 7, 8 o'clock at night. Then I have to do this whole thing tomorrow. And I got overwhelmed because I was thinking too far ahead and not being in the moment. And so I quit my dream job. It was fortuitous. It was meant to be. I can say it led me to a path where I am now, so I don't regret it. But it taught me a lesson that, and I wrote a song about it, being a musician part of me. I found out in the past not to predict the future ahead. One day at a time, I'll get you there faster instead. And so I go through the process each day and not try to get too much ahead of myself. Presence, the present moment, that's all we got anyway. Because I don't know what happened in the past. I'm very bad at remembering things that much other than dates for some reason. And then thinking ahead, I thought at one point when I was in my doctoral programs, I'd want to do a research project, in fact, my dissertation, the orientation of occupations. Some occupations are oriented toward the past, like archaeology, history. Some are oriented toward the future, like meteorology and things like that. So, oh, I'd like to do a classification scheme and see what that's all about. But my advisor and the committee had other plans, so it didn't work out that way.
That would be really cool, though.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. But I guess it wasn't meant to be because all we have is the present. So, here we are.
I really like that you bring that up because it begs the question, to live a mindful life, what profession could nurture that?
Yes,
right?
yes. I think all professions can. I think, we do need to look ahead. I mean, obviously, to make a drive from Broomfield down to Colorado Springs, you got to do some planning, maybe look at the stars, and think ahead,
Right.
but not so much ahead that it paralyzes you. And I think that's where sometimes we get boxed in. I have this way of thinking, and I remember thinking about this when I was in college, and you remember, midterms are coming up, or final exams are coming up, and you get all sweaty and hot and bothered about, well, I passed these, what if I fail, and blah, blah, blah. What we do is we think up to the problem. We think up to the exam. It's like, okay, what do I have to do to get to the exam? And when I'm in the exam, what do I need to remember and what do I need to do? And so we're fixated on that one piece, when in reality, that exam is all part of a bigger span of time, isn't it? There is something that emerges after the exam, right? And so I like to think through the problem, the exam, and think beyond it. And so I was doing a lot of beyond thinking back then, and I still do these days, I think. So that you think beyond something to the point where that thing isn't so much an obstacle anymore because you've kind of lasered through it. And then you can look back on it and go, oh, okay, I made it.
Yes. Oh, that feels like this past month. Is that astrologically correct?
Yeah.
This past month?
Well, yeah, probably for a
Little
lot of
bit,
people.
For a lot
yeah.
of people. What signs do you think, if it's top of mind, that are probably having the easiest march right now?
Ooh, I'd hate to say that. As soon as you say one sign, then they'll go, no, Smith, that's not happening.
That's fair. Statistics are real. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's what happens collectively, of course, and we're experiencing that. And that's what I talk about when I do my broadcasts, I guess, because I don't have everybody's chart in front of me.
Right.
And so you have to talk more broadly, because your individual chart might say that you're going through a pretty nice time, But then later on, there could be that bump in the road, or maybe not. Yeah. So, yeah, I have to kind of be on the side of everybody as much as possible. And that's why I like this vibrational astrology, is because I can take, and it's mostly the outer planets that are involved, because they are in aspect with one another the longest, because they're slower moving. So I can take the Uranus, and I can take the Neptune, and I can take the Saturn and smush it all together and come up with this formula, if you will, this soup that says this can be delectable if, you kind of operate in this vibration with these kinds of energies of the planets.
I love that aspect of vibrational astrology, and I love the fine-tunements that you can do with astrology. Gosh, you can go from this huge lens, like you're saying, for the collective, and then with more specific information, tailor it to a person, and then tailor it even more and even more.
Absolutely.
And that is why I appreciate this as an art and a science.
Yeah.
Because I think it takes that person to have the creative flexibility to approach that information.
Absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up, because I do believe it is an art and a science. I think it's the science because we're using numbers and formulas, and we're looking at angles and, geometry and all that kind of good stuff. And then we're using the art part of it, which is a kind of a creative process, if you will. How I would look at the Saturn, Neptune, Uranus combination might be different than what another astrologer would if they put that all together. It's just whatever intuitively I feel. I do have the keywords, kind of. So, it's like, well, these are the keywords that came up with me, but everybody's different in how they approach something. When I was going through my graduate studies, I had an advisor who said, this might hurt you to hear, but most people are more similar than they are different. Because if they weren't, it would be hard for us to do counseling. I couldn't say, okay, I can see you're going through something similar to what, this person, it's not exactly the same, but okay, I can maybe use these tools to help you because they've helped this person, so on. So we are different, yes, but we are similar.
There's a lot of discussion on collective consciousness lately, but I won't take us down that rabbit hole because, like I said, I could definitely talk to you all day.
Yeah, that's a both and, isn't it?
It is a both and,
I really appreciate the opportunity to be invited into this collective. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I was just kind of doing my thing up there in Broomfield. It's like, then I get this email and say, hey, would you like to talk? And so I appreciate this very beautiful opportunity to be a part of this collective. And I've had so many wonderful experiences with folks along the way, and the opportunity to share the wisdom of the planets and whatever else I can give with the community, I'm so grateful for. So other than that, I'd say, this has been wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much, Shayn. You're just an incredible energy. I hope that it's palpable. I'm sure that it is. But every time that I have met with you, whether it be on camera virtually or in person, it's just sincerely like spiritual family.
I feel the
Cut
same.
from that same fabric. Oh, thank you. I received that. And just really appreciate that you have been a part of cultivating this community and helping to shape the integrity and the culture that we want to bring into these teachings. And I think that it is so important that not only do we honor our teachers, but that we be open to being students to life. And they say that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And here you are. So I hope folks will take advantage of all that you have to offer, because it is no joke. It's just incredible. I can't say enough. I hope that we can connect soon. I have some ideas in mind on partnering to talk more frequently.
I would love that. Yes. I do have a lot of energy still and a lot of time left. I know that. I'm not done yet, so let me at it.
I think you're just getting started, and
I
mean
think
that
so.
all sincerity.
I do too. Why did it take me so long,
You had other things to do first.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. And for folks who want to get in touch with Shayn Smith, you will find the links below and his social media handles, and you can find him live inside of the Conscious Colorado Collective community as well. That's a mouthful.
Wow.
Ah, all right. Well, thank you, and Shayn, until next time.
Thank you, Ravyn.
Thank you.